wide open. There are many of us, we spend 20, 30 years trying to close this thing called the achievement gap. The gap between one or more race or ethnic groups and the other, and then trying to close this gap in achievement. And we spend all this time, entire careers, trying to close this achievement gap. Well, it began to dawn on me very early in my practice/mission that the achievement gap was the least of my concerns. In fact, the achievement gap was not my issue. I said, there's a broader issue that we're not addressing. Let me give you a scenario. I want to talk about a young man by the name of Jalil. Jalil was born into poverty. Jalil's an 8th grader now. He was born into poverty, and his life was full of challenges, full of obstacles, a life so challenging that his own teachers probably couldn't endure it for 24 hours, and he's got to live it. So all these challenges, all these obstacles, and then when he came to school, immediately, academically speaking, he was problematic. So kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd grade, he's just doing horribly. And as he gets older, he's beginning to express how he just doesn't like school, how he just doesn't need to be in school. What do I need this for? So he gets to 7th grade and he's a failure. He's extremely at risk. But then he meets a teacher in grade 7, an English teacher. And for whatever the reason, they click. There's a connection made. And now Jalil becomes a high performer. Jalil becomes an academic superstar. Not because Jalil couldn't do the work before, but now somebody came into his life who happened to be a teacher and told Jalil that you are great. You are somebody. You are extraordinary. And Jalil kept hearing that every day, that I'm somebody, that I'm extraordinary, that I'm special, that I can soar. So he was bombarded with this, with just the affirmation that you're somebody great. So next thing you know, Jalil became great academically speaking. But then Rashan, another young man born in the same neighborhood, when he came to school and same issues, poverty, challenges, obstacles in his life, but for whatever the reason, he came to school excited. And year after year after year, Rashan is an honor roll student. But then he had an experience in 7th grade as well. His experience was called peer pressure. And the peer pressure became so great, so enormous, that he succumbed to it. And now Rashan joined the gang. Rashan started selling drugs. Rashan started engaging in acts of violence. Rashan stopped coming to school on a regular basis. And Rashan's mother was losing hope. 2 young men, same neighborhood, same situation, same school, but 2 different experiences. When I look at Jalil and Rashan, I say the gap between the 2 of them has nothing to do with achievement. There's another gap there. And I'm calling this gap an attitude gap. Because now one has an attitude of success. He wants it. He wants to be somebody. but the other one has given up on education. So the question becomes rhetorically with us as the educators, what do I do to close that gap? What do I do to make a believer out of Rashawn once again? So if you look at the title, it says Closing the Attitude Gap. But what does that mean? See, when I say attitude gap, I'm saying the gap between those students who have the will to strive for excellence and those who do not, with the key words being the will to strive. Do you want it? And if so, how bad do you want it? And if you don't want it, why don't you? So as teacher, as counselor, as principal, as all the stakeholders in the building, because that head secretary, that head custodian is just as important as the principal. So how do I take all the stakeholders and get Rashawn excited about himself? And how do I purge the excuses from the building? There's this African proverb. It says, he who cannot dance will say the drum is bad. Once again, he who cannot dance will say the drum is bad. So fix the drum and watch me do my thing once you fix it. See, I couldn't do that one. Or let's bring it to contemporary times. He who cannot dance will say the DJ isn't playing my song. DJ, play my song, and then watch what I do. See, I couldn't blame the drum. I couldn't blame the DJ. We've got to look within. Because when I talk about the attitude gap, I'm not only speaking of the gap between students, but I'm also looking at the attitude of the adults. I'm looking at our attitudes. Because when you and I look at Rashawn, what do we see? What do we believe when we see Rashawn? Rashawn, he made some bad decisions. He's even sagging. He walks like this. You ever seen that before? So now he's made these decisions. But when he comes in the building sagging, when he's got his hat turned backwards, when he's not speaking English the way I want to hear it, what do I see when I look at him? Do I see Ivy League? Do I see the university? Do I see the CEO? Do I see the entrepreneur? Or do I see the prison? Do I see the cemetery? Do I see a kid who will never amount to anything? See, what you and I see is who he will become. What you and I see is who she will become. So I decided I got to focus on attitude.